laugh across a drink or something with friends, it's very hard to be going to war with that person or be angry with them. Ahmed Ahmed, welcome. Nice to have you. Vicky has a career in film and television as an actor as well. Talk a little bit about the genesis of how you found yourself, the evolution of how you found yourself being drawn, first of all, to comedy, and how being comfortable and open and making sure the world knew that you were Muslim and a comic. How was that genesis? How did it come about?
It was like an accident, actually. I started out as an actor. I was an actor. I played several roles in movies, terrorists, cab drivers, the sleazy Arab, Prince or something. And I was in that like percentage of actors that was, making a living, but I kept on seeing the same guys at the same auditions, and it was the same thing. We were always like screaming in the name of Allah or whatever. And at one point, I just like had this realization. I was like, I'm just, painting myself into a corner, because I was raised here in Southern California. But people in Hollywood didn't really see that other side of, Arabs or Muslims. So I quit. I quit acting because my agent had said to me, I said I want to play other characters. Can I go out, for a guy who has brown hair or whatever? And she's like, no, you're only going to play these Arab roles if you keep your name. And she said, you should change your name. But I said, I'm not going to change my name. So I quit. I ran out of money and went back to waiting tables, actually. And it was while I was waiting tables is how I sort of found stand-up comedy. Because the restaurant I worked at served horrible food, and so I had to make tips by entertaining the guests. So I'd make them laugh. And I was always honest, like how's the salmon? I was like, I wouldn't eat it. Just try the rib roast. And then one night, this woman came in, older woman, and she had like 5 sons with her. They were all, they all seemed very, very gay, very, but very like, classy ascots, and but laughing with the mother. And at the end of the night, she gave me this big tip, and she goes, "You should be a comedian." And I said, "You think funny?" And she goes, "Of course I do. Look at all my sons." And they were like laughing. They were like, "Oh, mother." So it was really that moment where I looked at her. I was like, "All right, you think I'm funny?" So I went up on stage, did like an open mic, started doing amateur nights, contests, driving 100 miles to earn $25 and a meal. That kind of turned into, me being a paid regular at the Comedy Store. But I always talked about being from the Middle East. I never like hid behind that. I always talked about having, Egyptian parents, always relating to our family as like the Munsters. Remember that show, The Munsters? We're like the Arab Munsters, like the weird family on the block. Weird smells coming out of the kitchen. So.
Were you Eddie?
I was a cross between Eddie and the dad, yeah. And then, I don't know, and then like September 11th happened, and then everyone was like, you can't talk about that anymore. You can't talk about being Egyptian, or, you can't talk about being Muslim. I wouldn't. And so I went through like all of us did. There's a show that we do with a bunch of other Middle Eastern comedians called Axis of Evil. I don't know if you guys heard of it. So we were all sort of like put in this, position where is it okay to talk about this? Or should we not? Luckily, we're all paid regulars at the Comedy Store here in Hollywood. So Mitzi Shore, who originally put us together, gave us the freedom and the environment to be able to like work out our jokes and fail. And so through failure is sort of how we became able to laugh ourselves.
Some crisis or tragedy that will happen between America and the Middle East. And that when it happened, Arabs were going to be more misrepresented than ever. There's definitely a paranoia which has obviously led into my life and the lives of other Arabs and Muslims. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the word Arab or Muslim?
Stereotype, like the turban.
Oh, terrorist, man. I hate to say it, but it's going straight there.
47% of Americans favor national identity cards of Arabs. Do you think Muslims could be funny?
I think anybody can be funny. That's the best part of being human.
Whenever I get on a plane, I always know who the air marshal is. Yeah, it's always the guy sitting there holding the People magazine upside down, looking right at me. Hey, man, how do you have so many Jewish friends? What about the Jews, the Muslims, the war and hate and all that? Tell me about that, huh? Muslims, if you think about it, both Jews and Muslims have more in common than any other religion ever. Both Jews and Muslims don't eat pork. We don't celebrate Christmas. We both use pronunciation. We both yell on the phone when there's no emergency. Up like in an immigrant household, or especially Arab or Muslim household, you're supposed to be, you know, doctor, lawyer, engineer, getting, you know,
stand-up comic,
yeah, gas station or whatever. Because when I first moved to Los Angeles, I was 19 years old when I moved here, and his whole thing was like, you know, Allah does not live in Hollywood, you know. Right? I was like, yeah, he visits now. So I moved here like against his will. He actually, my father didn't speak to me for about like 6-7 years, because he was like ashamed, like he comes from the old school, you know. And all the parents, you know, friends were like, what is your son doing? Oh, my son just got the PhD. You know? What about your son? He just got a nice job in Texas, engineer. You know, like they used to brag about their sons. What about your son? My brother? No? Oh, he's an actor. You know. He wants to be a comedian. I don't know what went wrong. You know.
We really do share something culturally, because that's exactly what my parents did.
You know, man, it's like any family, any Latino, any family in general. I think white people are just supportive of their kids. Going in after them. You want to be a rock star? Go ahead, son.
That's the white community.
Yeah, white community. You want to be famous? Go ahead. We endorse that. You come from like a colored background? No way. You know. We started getting a little bit of airtime and got on
notoriety.
Got on Comedy Central, and we started making a little bit of noise. And then my dad like wanted to get involved, you know, all of a sudden.
He wants to manage your career.
Yeah, he had jokes for me all of a sudden. Yeah. I went, and the thing that I learned when I went is when I came back and had this like profound experience. What Islam was really about. It was about this like unified, just, you know, big sort of muscle of millions of people walking and praying and doing everything the sort of same way. There wasn't really any sort of like person like leading the charge in the Hajj. It's like people just kind of know where to go. When I came back from that experience, that's when I kind of started over, and that's when stand-up comedy kind of evolved. And that's when I started dealing with, you know, some of the racism and some of the misperceptions, stereotypes. I don't really consider myself like 100% like what people would want to call someone a practicing Muslim. I'm more like Muslim-ish. Or Muslim on my good days. I guess I don't know. But there's so many parallels in the Quran with the other religions as well. If you read the Quran, not to get like too religious, but you know, there's so many parallels if you read both scriptures. In fact, Muslims believe that Jesus will come back and set the message straight for everybody, that he is in fact the Messiah, not Muhammad. And so when Christians or other people from other religions hear that, they go, really? Oh, we didn't know that. Well, maybe we should go read the Quran, you know. So there's just a lot of education, I think, that needs to happen through media, through literature, just arts and culture, you know, radio, obviously. We've been finding that comedy has been a really, you know, a solution, or one solution. It's a small solution, but it's something that we're just trying to integrate to the media to portray us the way we want to be portrayed. We have to take initiative. We have to write our own screenplays, make our own movies. We always reference Arabs as being like the new black. Yeah, it's like the last bad guy, you know.